Hey, what's up, guys? Sorry, this one's a little late. I was at a moving up ceremony for my daughter. She's moving on from preschool to pre-K, so that was cool. But better late than never. There was a series of patch notes that went out. The patch is now concluded, but there are some key takeaways from this for those of you that haven't yet been able to get in there and really experience everything that ended up changing with the patch. And a few of these are major. There are some huge changes, especially if you are a Warlock, especially if you are a Druid, and especially if you are a caster. Fixed an issue that could cause a server crash when a Druid escapes the game while transforming into an animal. An issue where damaging of Lightning Strike, Holy Strike, and Dreamfire did not scale properly. Fixed an issue where the Thorn Barrier rendering wasn't displayed properly, so apparently there's supposed to be some form of particle or visual effect. Fixed a performance issue with Ceremonial Staff's cloth simulation. Fixed an issue where new Druid equipment items were not dropped from monsters. Now this one is huge. Inside of the game, if you were able to finish like the first Tailor and Leathersmith quest, Tailor especially, there was a robe that had an agility base stat on it that was specifically for Druid. Now that robe wasn't dropping from any other mobs, but apparently now it is. That changes Cat Druid considerably, because now, even though they have slightly less armor involved, an agility base for that robe means that at legendary level, it would have +6 agility. So instead of having a strength base in something like a padded tunic or a health base in something like an adventurer tunic, this would be an agility base, which means that the max possible stat allocation, instead of being 50 for a druid, is now 56. Now, that doesn't mean that people should necessarily be going out and trying to max out the agility stat and get legendary everything so that you have 56 agility. What it means is you have more variation in what it is that you can do. Now, instead of running like agility pants, for instance, you could instead opt for like padded or heavy leather legs, or if you need knowledge for caster stats or whatever, you could opt for doing that and then take maybe a set of strength gloves, let's say, for instance. It opens up a lot of different opportunities for different build variations for people so that they're not locked in to have to do 3 main agility pieces and then agility subs on the other 3, and then jewelry ends up being agility main stat, etc., etc., etc. You're still going to focus on that if you're doing cat druid stuff, but it gives you a lot more opportunity to be able to play around with the build and maybe use the agility base shirt instead. Fixed an issue where the ant nest module Shrine of Health could be used twice. Fixed an issue where the rope sound in Goblin Cave was muffled. Fixed an issue where Loyal Court Wizard Quest Mission Dark Ritual Room A could not be cleared because it did not exist. So now this should be fixed. Fixed an issue where player kills and AP were not being calculated properly. In a video that I did like a handful of days ago, I think 3 days ago, I did an AP guide video on how to min-max AP for this season. And in there I mentioned that AP was not being counted for PvP. In a lot of circumstances, that was true. And then there were these intermittent moments where people were getting like 99 or 69 or 115 or whatever. Like there was a lot of variation in AP, but most people were saying that they were getting 0. And I was getting 0 for people that were ranked above, ranked below. It didn't matter. I was still getting 0 sometimes. Apparently that was a bug. So now this should be calculated the right way. For the record, this is all based on whatever rank you hold. The difference in rank, if you're below somebody that has a higher rank than you and you kill them, you get bonus AP. The average is somewhere around 100. If you end up killing people that are lower ranks than you, it scales down from there. So that's basically the idea. Fixed an issue where the selected dungeon on the world map wasn't highlighted in yellow. Fixed an issue where the recipes for Prot Potion and Magic Prot Potion were set incorrectly. They were using like white grade flowers or herbs. There are no white grade flowers or herbs in the game. They're all green now. Barbarian's Rage movement speed bonus has been changed from 12 to 9%. So this is a nerf to Barbarian movement speed using Rage, which, not for nothing, I think is necessary. Barbs, when they're stacked for class, they have crazy hit points and crazy damage. Barbarian's Savage Roar physical damage penalty has been changed from -40 to -30, a little bit less punishing to use Savage Roar. Warlocks can now use weapons when transformed into demons due to Blood Pact. This means that you retain the weapon that is in your hand at the time. This is actually a massive change changed too, because before it was you would use claws and then hit the E skill, and then you needed to make sure that you had Bloodstained Blade on your hands, otherwise you weren't doing nearly enough damage. This makes it so that demon form actually hits like a dump truck. Good falchion or a good Chris dagger in demon form would end up hitting very hard, especially if you have Bloodstained Blade on it too. This with plus 10 all is going to end up adding a lot of damage dealing capability to the demon. Warlock's Blood Pact loss of health per second has been changed from -1% to -1.5% per second. This brings it back to what demon form used to be. It means that demon form won't last as long, and it means that the commit from people that turn into demon is going to really have to be hard driving. Now, just about everybody has the ability to get damn near close to or at movement speed cap. Means that in order to be able to counteract this, if you can, you just run away from the demon, and they probably will end up bleeding themselves out and have to drop form, so that's the counter. Warlock's Dark Offering cooldown time has changed from 60 to 28 seconds. I don't know anyone that really uses Dark Offering. This doesn't really seem like it's a very viable perk or skill at the moment in time. At this moment in time, Warlock's Life Drain attribute ratio bonus has been changed from 50 to 100%. So rather than this scaling on 50% of the damage that you're doing, it's back to 100% of the damage, which means that the heals coming off of the staff or the book, whatever you're using, will be significantly better. This puts Life Drain in a position where using this instead of trying to go with Torture Mastery for your Warlock central build might actually end up coming into play again, which is kind of nice. Druid takes a -100% penalty to PDR and MDR while transformed into rat form. So in this case, what they're saying is they're taking away any damage resist that you otherwise would have had. So even though you have the ability to stack hit points, you're still going to end up taking like full damage. Druid's Thorn Barrier duration has been changed from 10 to 8 seconds. So this is interesting because with the way that Thorn Barrier works, you have the ability to block doors and whatnot. 2 seconds of shorter duration is going to change timing on like trying to block off mobs, to try and kill them, for instance. It's going to change a lot of timings with PvP stuff. It's an interesting change, probably a necessary one because there's a lot of CC with Druid. Improved armor penetration for bow, crossbows, and piercing daggers. So the stiletto is a 10% armor pierce, rondel is 10% armor pierce, and then survival bow is 5, recurve is 10, longbow is 20, crossbow is 30, and the windlass is 40% armor pen. This means that PDR style fighters, clerics, aren't necessarily as damage mitigating as they once had been. It kind of brings Ranger up into a position where they're actually starting to look a little bit more dangerous than they used to be. Rangers kind of were getting the short end of the deal here. Rangers and Wizards, I think, are kind of still lacking a little bit. This might put Rangers in a pretty good spot. Wizards still kind of, I think, need a little bit of love. Campfires have been added to the Squire's supply items. Healing items have been added as starting items for most classes, so that's interesting. Clarity pots can now be crafted. So this is a huge change. The Clarity Potion days are back. That's the green potion that if you drank it, it restored some of your spell charges. However, it is a little bit different now. New Clarity Potions increase the memory recovery rate when resting. So it works very similar to Bard Tranquility now. You don't have the ability to just drink it, keep moving, and regenerate spells on the fly. You drink it and then you have to sit down and rest. Now, whether or not this ends up coming into something that people actually want to use, I don't know. We'll have to see how that ends up actually like playing out a little bit. I could see where using something like this and then buff duration bonus might come into play because you might get an extra tick or two, but I'm not all that enthusiastic about Clarity Potions making their return. The entire idea was for the classes that didn't have like Meditate or whatever, or didn't feel like bringing in campfires, you could just sit down and kind of get like the poor man's Meditate. They would come back rather quick on their own as it was. You didn't really have a lot of downtime if you were budgeting your spells appropriately, but maybe this has a place where it won't end up getting abused. We'll have to see how it plays out. Treasures no longer give adventure points. This is another huge one. Now, again, with my AP guide that I made just a few days ago, it was shown that treasure was giving AP, just not the item AP. Now, in this case, this also means that because treasure is getting taken off of the shelf, the only things that give AP are opening treasure chests, killing monsters, killing bosses, and then killing each other. So none of the looting counts at all, unless they've given back adventure points for like gear, wearing gear, but it doesn't look like that has happened. The Secrets of Gold quest now requires 2 gold ingots instead of 6 gold ore, which is a huge change because the difference being 6 gold ore is only found In between the 2 bosses in Goblin Cave, after you kill both of them, that central treasure room has 4 gold nodes in it. Handing in gold ore that was found in raid, looted, meant that everyone had to get to that loot room, which isn't easy to do for people, especially if they're newer. When it changes to 2 gold ingots, that means that those have been crafted, they're placed on the market, and then people can buy them because ingots, once they're crafted, are no longer considered looted. They're considered handled across the board. There's no such thing as a looted ingot. So in this case, this makes it so that everyone can complete the task. You just have to have the money to buy the stuff off the market, and everybody else that's farming can farm away to their heart's content. Rat sounds have been removed from the environmental sounds, so this is another huge change. People were getting confused between player rats in like druids in rat form and then just the ambient rat noises that you would hear in the crypts. Big change. The visibility of escapes on the minimap has been improved, and VoIP has been enabled in the base camp. VoIP in the base camp is a questionable one because people being able to talk to each other and yap away might end up actually causing issue. I don't know why they bothered with that, to be completely honest, because somewhere along the way, like midway through this patch, they're supposed to take away matchmaking from, you know, people going into that base camp lobby, and then everyone's supposed to just matchmake from the menu so that no one knows who's in whose lobbies anymore. This being modified like this might be a change toward like the social hub that they're planning on switching to for like the tavern or the base camp. Maybe that's why. But the idea with this was always like people were able to identify other players just based on like if they could hear themselves, or guys would be like trying to team up with each other in the camp before the round started, which always ended up sounding like a little bit sus. So they took that away from so that people couldn't pre-team and like make sure that everybody was in the same lobbies together. And that kind of like gets brought back now, at least for the interim. It says right here, we are still working on the improved matchmaking system, which we hope to roll out soon. In the meantime, we've decided to open up VoIP in the base camp as a test for its upcoming removal and conversion to a more social area. There you go. Well, guys, that's what I have for this one. Thanks so much for coming and checking it out. Hopefully this patch ends up going off without a hitch. So far on paper, it looks like it's a good change. I like the stuff that they modified here. I would like to see a little bit more wizard love. I feel like they're kind of like lacking right now, but maybe time will tell. If you wouldn't mind subbing the channel here or give maybe the video a like or something, that would be pretty sweet. Maybe leave a comment. Tell me that you enjoy the content if you enjoy the content. Otherwise, you can come and check me out live over at twitch.tv/Onepeg, where I'm live every day around 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But otherwise, I suppose I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for lending me your eyeballs. We'll see you soon. Peace.